Usually when I start making an animatic, I think about the thing for a long time. It can be that I already found a song that I really like and just want to see what I can connect with the song, or it can be the other way around, that I want to make a certain animatic but just haven't found the song for it yet, or the right audio. It's a little bit different when I make live series animatics, because then I watch the episode and just take out the bits that I like the most and paste them all together to finally form an actual animatic. The challenge of making those type of animatics is more like the bits that you don't want to animate, because usually it's like 5 minutes, and 5 minutes is a little too much for me. So like max 2 minutes. So I want to cut it up until I have like 2 minutes of good audio to use. But we're not talking about that today. We are talking about my How to Train Your Dragon animatic I made on the song Hunter by Paris Paloma. I am such a big fan of Paris Paloma, and her music has been something that I have been listening to for the last year, and I just absolutely love her. I love what she stands for. I just love her energy, her vibe. I'm going to see her next month, so I'm super excited. And I already kind of decided that I wanted to make animatics on Paris her songs, because I think they are really nice to animate to. Most of her songs have some type of story to tell, which is just beautiful, and I think that is something that you're looking for when you want to make an animatic. In As Good a Reason, it's about a woman that needs to escape a certain scenario and learns that from another woman, and then she brings that same message over to another young woman. That's also why I made an animatic on that, because I also thought it really fitted a certain story I had to tell with my OCs. And that's a story I will be exploring a little bit more in the future too. But with Hunter, me listening to the thing, and I just kept on thinking, wow, this is so Hiccup and Toothless, right? Many people in the comments already said that too. It just fits so incredibly well. But what the song really is about Paris, her struggles with mental health. Usually before I make any type of music video, I listen to the music a lot. The lyrics are important, but the vibes are too, and the beats and everything. So there's a lot to keep in mind when I'm listening to the music so much, and I'm thinking, usually just in my head, what kind of scenes would play out at that moment. And when I feel confident enough about it, I start to draw it out. I started with this one with using a storyboard method, but I quickly changed to just do it in chronological order, drawing everything that came to mind down in Clip Studio Paint X. I do this while the music is in the background, but sometimes I also put the song on again to just like keep on thinking about what's the best step to take. And the sketches I put down usually don't really mean anything for, because I am also the animator, you know, so I don't need to think too much as storyboard artist. I do say like, oh, I want this to happen. I at least want Toothless to look up here, or I want like a fade into the scene, or I want this to move, or whatever. So I do put little scrabbles down of what I want and what I don't want even, but it's usually not that much, because once again I have a clear idea in my head and I'm the only person that needs to deal with that. Even when the rough animatic looks finished, I go over it quite a lot to just, you know, think about the actual scenes that I will have to draw out, because if there's something I'm not really happy with, I will try to maybe draw another version of the scene, or a new perspective, or maybe even a completely different scene, because usually when I don't really like what's in the animatic, I don't want to actually draw the thing out that much, and that's usually where I get stuck. So yeah, sorry for saying usually so much, oh my gosh. But when I do come of a point of satisfaction, or just impatience, I will start drawing it out. I decided for the Hunter one that I wanted to do it in just Clip Studio Paint and not in Autodesk Sketchbook, and then placing every PNG file into Clip Studio Paint, because that's a lot of work too. So I just wanted to draw at least most of the things in Clip Studio Paint. The point of me drawing in Autodesk more is because I really like the way most of my drawings turn out in Autodesk, and not so much in Clip Studio Paint, because I feel there are some things missing always in my Clip Studio Paint drawings. I'm slowly and surely trying to fix that, and that's also by just using brushes that I think fit my style, and that also kind of look like the ones I made in Autodesk, because I don't know, in Clip Studio I feel a little bit less inclined to use brushes because they feel very repetitive, if you know what I mean. But this just means that I need to experiment more. Sadly, I did not make a time lapse of any of the drawings I made, but I can show you some of the layering in the background. So we have the rough animatic in a different animation folder than, of course, the line art. And I put those singular frames into folders as well. As this is more of an animatic than an animation, I don't really worry that much about like the names of everything. But when I do an animation, I name almost everything. Like the hair, if a hair has a different layer, I will name it hair. And if the eyes have a different layer, I will name it eyes, because then I can find it quicker and then the process is a little bit more easy. But in this one, I didn't really do it because I was lazy. But before I started, it came to me that I haven't really drawn Hiccup or Toothless in several years. So I made a type of test drawing, or like a reference for myself on how these two would look in my style, and here is that drawing. I think this is very important because my style can shift a lot, and this is a type of reference I can use for that. So when I have this down, I start to work on the scenes in chronological order, and it starts with just the line work. So drawing over the rough animatic, and well, I still make it look sketchy because it's an animatic and it doesn't need to be some type of masterpiece. But I do see that some scenes look way more polished than the others, and that's because I have more fun drawing them. It's just that I just want every single scene to have something to look at right now. So I'm not worrying about any light animation or movement in the scenes at all yet. I just want the composition to be right and for the characters to look the way they need to look. I do separate the background from the midground and the foreground, and sometimes the midground and the foreground can be just several things from a character. So the arm of Hiccup can be on a different layer / folder than his body, because I sometimes just want his arm to move like a little puppet, you know, little puppet animation a little bit. Can you actually call this animation? Maybe. I mean, it's interpolation, but yeah. It's not the same as frame by frame, that's true. And I do have some parts frame by frame in this animatic, but that's for parts that I really want to make an impact on the audience and stuff. And looking at the views, I think I did make an impact. Next step, after everything is done, and with that I mean the shading, the characters, the background, and some other elements, I start to make things move. So I'm going over it again chronologically. I'm not yet doing keyframing and interpolation. That's a thing that you can do in Clip Studio Paint with just saying, hey, I want this drawing to go here to that side. That can make the thing feel a little bit more alive, even though it's just some subtle movement. But you can do a lot with just the interpolation feature in Clip Studio Paint. So if you haven't tried that yet, I feel like you can experiment with it a little. I know it's a bit lazy of me to just draw Toothless as this black blob in the scenes that do have actual frame by frame animation, but then again, I thought it worked just well, and maybe in the future I will make something more detailed. But for this, the whole thing was a music video, and for such a short 2 seconds, I didn't really feel like it needed a really perfect Toothless animation. What I'm trying to say is that the most important message is the whole video itself and not specific scenes in the video. One thing I really wanted to portray in this animatic was the fact that the hunter can be any two of them. So the narrator isn't really specifically Toothless or specifically Hiccup. So you can flip the song around, of course. But yes, from a Hiccup perspective, it can be a little bit more clear than from the Toothless perspective. Hiccup does have more scenes too, so yeah, it's like, I think it's like 70% Hiccup and 30% Toothless with the means of the song, I mean, with how much the narrative fits them. I really do love that some people picked up that I also tried to make it kind of look from Toothless perspective, because in the end they were just two parallels, and even in the second movie I think his mom says that they're the same age and they're like basically the same person, but then one is a dragon and the other one is a human, right? I haven't even said how much How to Train Your Dragon meant for me and how much it sparked into me when I was a little kid. I think it made me start drawing, and I used to make little dragon books, just after I saw How to Train Your Dragon, and my family loved those dragon books with like the types of dragon, because in How to Train Your Dragon, Hiccup has this book that he reads about all the types of dragons they find and how dangerous they are, right? So I made a book like that for my family with my own created dragons. So making this animatic many years later after I'd seen the movie for the first time, with the skills that I have now, partly because I was so mesmerized by this franchise, I really feel like it's very poetic to look back to this little girl and now me as a grown woman making this, and also seeing so many of the comments connect to exactly how I felt when I was a young girl. I really like to see that. I'm just super glad that this video meant a lot to other people as well. I was a little bit scared to stray too far from the canon, so I almost did not stray from the canon at all. And I do think in hindsight that I did want to stray just a little bit more from the actual scenes we saw, but because a lot of them are recreations of scenes that are in the actual movie, it might as well just have been an edit. But no, I do feel like the part of it being my art style and the things that I like the most on the specific scenes that I like to show, it is still really my own thing. Also, yes, I made Hook Fang look like an actual wyvern because I just like drawing dragons this way. I don't know, wasn't really a specific thing. I just wanted to show people that I have a specific preference to drawing dragons. Looking back, I think some scenes could have been stronger, could have had a better composition, could have looked just better. I could have put more effort into it, but that's always something you're going to think after making something like this. And I am my own worst critic, as any artists are of their own work, but that doesn't take away how proud I am of completing this, and in 42 hours too, I think. Those 42 hours, however, are only in Clip Studio Paint hours. I did really think about the animatic way more than just 42 hours. Some people were sad of me not doing the last bit of the song, and I do agree, but I also think that I didn't want to draw out like this motivation bit I had, because I could do 2 minutes and a little more, but I could not do 3. I'm sorry. I know for myself that when I do not feel like drawing something, it will just look worse. So if I would have done the last part of the video, it would just look worse. I don't want to do that. Yeah, so best to stop before then. I do kind of want to skip over the interpolation part and the animation of that, because it's just really boring and it's just setting the drawings in the right places and then saying where they need to go. And even after the interpolation stage is done, I can still think that some parts of the animatic look a little boring, so I do go back and try to fix that by adding some small bits of animation or just like little hints of things in the background. Then you have a finished rough animation video that I always put into DaVinci Resolve to just, well, resolve some issues. I really do want to get better at editing, but for these type of stuff you don't really need to have a master's degree in editing. The only thing I really do is just adding some fades, putting in the lyrics, putting in the text, because those are things I don't want to do in Clip Studio Paint. Only thing left to do was make a thumbnail, and that's by using one of the drawings that I was most proud of and just putting it into Sketchbook and drawing over it, making it look a little bit more colorful, a little bit different. And I tried out several different thumbnails as well, but this one is the one that we went for in the end, and I wanted to look a little bit more like it could fit with the actual animatic too, because the other one was too colorful, and then the animatic and this thing are just very different from each other. So I do want to let people know what they get into before clicking on the video, and these colors just fit a little bit more with that. So yeah, we have this. Super happy with how it came out, super happy with how it's received. Thank you guys so much for the amazing support on this video. Please consider commissioning me if you want to see more of these type of videos, or of course you could just like and subscribe, leave a comment, and you know, send the video or this video even to one of your friends. You know, show people that you also love How to Train Your Dragon as much as I do. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll have a great day wherever you are, and I'll see you guys in the next video.